Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel Buddha Affirmation. Here every story has a purpose and every lesson is meant to help you grow in a life. So let's dive into a new story that will teach us a deep lesson about kindness. So let's start the story. Once upon a time, there was a young prince who ruled over his people with a strict and harsh attitude. Unlike his father, the king, who was known for his kindness and gentle nature, the prince was quick tempered and often unfair to his subjects. He believed that being stern was the best way to keep control over the kingdom, while the king tried to explain to him that true respect comes from compassion. Time and again, the king would sit the prince down and say, "My son, if you are gentle and fair, the people will love you and follow you out of respect, not fear." But the prince was stubborn. He says, "People only listen to us when they are afraid. Kindness will force them to take advantage of us." As time went on, unrest began to grow among the people of the kingdom. The prince's harshness led some to whisper about rebellion. The king became deeply worried, realizing that if something did not change, his own son might soon face an uprising. In his desperation, the king decided to call upon a wise sage who lived in a distant part of the kingdom. This sage, known for his understanding of human nature, listened patiently to the king's troubles and agreed to help and said in a calm voice, "I believe I can help your son see the light, but it will require patience and trust." The next day, the sage met with the prince. He suggested they go for a walk outside the palace, and the prince, though a bit unsure, agreed. They strolled through the garden and out into a nearby grove until they reached an old neem tree known for its bitter leaves. The sage stopped and pointed to the tree and said, "Prince, pluck a leaf from this tree and taste it." The prince raised an eyebrow but went along with the sage's request. He reached up, pulled a leaf from a branch, and put it in his mouth. Instantly, he grimaced. The leaf was incredibly bitter, leaving a terrible taste in his mouth. Disgusted, he spat it out and glared at the tree. "What a horrible taste!" he exclaimed. Angry, he drew his sword and without a second thought, sliced off the entire branch from which he had plucked the leaf. The sage watched calmly, not surprised by the prince's reaction. After a moment, he approached the prince and asked gently, "Why did you cut off the branch, prince?" The prince replied, his face still twisted with distaste, "These leaves are so bitter now. Imagine how much worse they will be as they grow. It is better to cut this branch now before it becomes even more harmful." The sage nodded thoughtfully as if considering the prince's words and said with gentle smile, "You are absolutely right. Sometimes it is wise to remove something harmful in its early stages before it has a chance to grow and cause more harm." Now think, could the same logic apply to ourselves? The prince looked at the sage and asked in surprise, "What do you mean?" Sage explained, "Look within yourself, prince. Consider your anger and harshness toward your people. If you continue to treat them with such a bitterness, it will only grow worse over time. Eventually, their resentment will become stronger and could lead to much greater problems. You saw this bitter leaf and cut it away immediately. Should not you do the same with your own bitterness?" The prince was taken aback. For the first time, he truly understood the lesson. His own harshness and anger were like the bitter leaves on the tree. They could become poisonous if allowed to grow unchecked. If he continued down this path, the people's resentment toward him would grow indeed, potentially leading to rebellion and violence. The next day, the prince gathered his courage and went out among his people. He spoke to them with sincerity, apologizing for his past behavior. "I have been harsh, but I see now that kindness and understanding are what will bring us true peace. I ask for your forgiveness, and I promise to rule with compassion and fairness from this day forward." The people moved by his honesty, forgave him. They could see that he was truly sorry and wanted to change. And so, the prince continued to learn from the sage, making efforts each day to be fair and compassionate leader. From that day on, the prince worked hard to build a peaceful kingdom, and the people came to respect and love him as they did the king. The prince had learned an important lesson, one that would guide him as he grew to become a wise and just ruler. This story teaches that kindness is stronger than fear and anger. The prince, once harsh and feared, learned through a wise sage that his bitterness only creates more bitterness among his people. Just like cutting off a bitter branch, he realized he needed to change his ways early before they lead to worse consequences. By treating others with compassion, he gained their respect and trust. This lesson shows that a true leader inspires and unites people by kindness, not by force. Small act of understanding can prevent big problems and bring lasting peace and harmony. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video, hit like button, and for more such stories, subscribe to our channel. Thank you and stay positive.